Hello, everyone, and welcome to the As Seen on TV podcast for the originals, Season 1, Episode 4, Girl in New Orleans. I'm your host, Dom, and with me I have Omikins
Hello.
and Mike.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Quite well.
So is this getting even better? I was talking to Mike in pre-show earlier, and he's loving the show. What's your opinions on this, Umi?
I completely agree. It's getting much better.
Yeah, we had a lovely... We mentioned in a previous episode how Klaus pulls these wonderful one-liners just right out of his ass, such as the moving to Utah, found religion and moving to Utah and drinking the Mississippi with a straw. Well, he adds to the lovely pile tonight, this episode, with that'd be like finding a needle in an extremely large pile of needles.
I could do that.
Just pull out a needle and it's there.
Specific needle.
Just
it's a
pull out
needle. It's definitely there.
True, he didn't say which needle. It's a big pile of needles. He's going to need to find a needle. Oh, look, I found one.
Kind of easy to find.
True. Maybe that was his point. Maybe he was being witty.
Facetious.
Yes, that.
Very well. So, right off the bat, we see Cammy and Klaus again. Ooh. You kind of think something might be going on. A little flirting. A little, I don't know what.
Klaus does like her. He likes her. But unfortunately, she is a pawn in his plans, and he has to treat her as such.
Yeah, I agree with that one. There's definitely brain. There's definitely, a liking there. Otherwise, he would be, I think, much more forceful with using her as a pawn.
Right.
And he would have compelled the ever-loving shit out of her by now.
Oh, yeah. He's still done a lot of it, though.
Oh, yeah, he's compelled her enough, but I mean, to the point where she's a barely functioning zombie.
Right. So, why do you think Klaus is confiding in Cammy in this one?
I don't know.
I think he's at in kind of like an inner turmoil with what his plan is, how evil it is, and that he has to be a nice guy. Whereas before, he didn't have to be a nice guy. He just did what he had to do, and if he broke a few hearts or pulled a couple out, it didn't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
So, why do you think he's going after Cammy instead of somebody else, just being easy to talk to and whatnot? Don't you think Marcel would have given Cammy some vervain or something?
See, that's something I've been wrestling with.
Do all this?
I guess Marcel either just didn't think of that avenue because he has a crush on Cammy and he likes her a lot. So wouldn't you think, he'd compel her into... I mean, he probably doesn't want to use any kind of compulsion on her and just wants to, he's probably arrogant enough to think that he can get her with his own charms and, no compulsion needed. But, I mean, why not just throw a little bit in there and say, hey, this is an herbal supplement called vervain. It is ridiculously good for you. You should take it every day.
The thing is, he'd have to mask it as something else, a different herb, because if he told her it was vervain, she's smart enough to look it up.
Okay, so this is echinacea and ginkgo, and it is good for your memory and health. How's that? That better?
I guess so, but...
So have her just take it, so Klaus or his enemies can't get to her and compel her and use her against him. But he didn't think that far ahead. I don't think he's thinking with the upstairs brain right now. He may be a vampire, but he's still a dude. Downstairs brain, sometimes takes over.
See, I'm thinking maybe part of it is because Marcel wants her to remain completely pure.
That does make sense. He did mention that, something along those lines at one point.
So that would be why he's not compelling her to use vervain. But it doesn't explain why he hasn't snuck it into jewelry, drink, something like that. So that's what was really getting at me. It seemed like somebody, if he cared about her that much, that he would take in the proper precautions.
Yeah.
Protection?
The proper protection.
Could
An
be.
angel's sword?
Different show.
Oh, right.
So, do you
Breaking stuff.
drop?
And I'm afraid of putting my cup down too hard when I take a drink. As a beginning episode, I was like, thud.
Dropped it again. It's gonna stay there until I have to use the mouse to switch scenes of the show.
There, he finished.
Excellent,
Last thought.
excellent. So, we were kind of speculating that maybe Davina and Marcel were linked, like the witches and Haley. Joanne, what's her name? I can't think of that witch's name.
Sophie Devereaux.
Sophie. I'm always trying to think of her sister's name. Sophie and Haley were linked. We were thinking maybe Davina and Marcel were linked, but that kind of proved not to be the case.
I see a finger.
If you want to remember her name, just put her in a hot nurse's costume and a beard, and then you'll never forget her name.
Bad
Why did
visuals.
I marry you?
Bad visuals. Except I'm going to remember that forever now.
Exactly, that's the point.
I got a big,
could've
fluffy,
just-
hairy beard in my
I
mind.
could have just said Gary Gannon's dog and I would have been all set.
No, Sophie.
I got like
yeah,
that.
I know. I got it, but you could have just said Gary Gannon's dog and I would have been all set, which is also Sophie.
I got the police chief from Hot Fuzz in my head. A great big bushy beard.
So are you guys in agreement that Davina and Marcel are not actually linked?
I don't know yet.
Yeah, I don't know. We haven't actually seen anything or heard anything that proves that they're
Davina
not.
made his blood boil to
She
prove her
can-
point. Marcel would not let her go out to the parade that she wanted to go out to, and she stood her ground and made his blood boil, where he got to the point where he,
Started sweating.
yeah. So wouldn't that have affected her as well?
Wow.
Not if she's the witch that made the link and she can control it, 'cause she is pretty powerful.
So, yeah, if she is as powerful, she possibly could have boiled his blood without adversely affecting herself.
Mhm.
I think. Probably. I don't know. We do see at one point in the episode that she's very powerful, but yeah. But there's a later point. Continue.
Yeah. So why do you think Marcel's hiding Davina, or at least trying to hide her?
Because if the witches got her, there'd be no way Marcel would win anything. Like, if she was on the witch's side, Marcel would be an ant under somebody's boot.
Yeah, I have to agree. She's already proven that she can pretty much kill him on a whim if she felt like it. I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, keeping her... He doesn't have her compelled. I'd say keeping her, just standard in... Have what the word is I'm looking for here. Like, she's there with... I don't know, like almost Stockholm Syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Is basically what's going on there. Keeping her happy with him and liking him is, good for the Marcel long-run game plan here. But yeah, if she joined the witches, Marcel would... There'd be no more vampires left, you kidding me? They'd wipe them out.
Yeah, we kind of saw when Klaus was talking to Davina. I think it kind of made Davina realize that she doesn't need Marcel like she thought she did. So I could definitely see, like, we already know that Marcel needs Davina. Davina doesn't need Marcel. We were kind of wondering what bond they had. And that's why we were speculating maybe they were linked. stuff like that. But it very well seems like that's not the case anymore. She's there in her own free will because she's scared. She's scared of being alone, and now she has options. So I definitely see her working with the originals as opposed to against them.
At some point, maybe, yes.
I see her branching off. And then it'll be Marcel and his vampires against the originals against the witches. It'll be a 3-faction war.
A 3-way. Lovely.
Pretty much already
Three-way.
a faction war.
Well, the thing is, like, Marcel has the witches under his control right now. Even though they're trying to backdoor him, it's just not really working out that well. But right now, it's originals versus Marcel.
Yeah.
Sort of. I don't know.
Well, the
It's
witches
weird.
are up to some kind of shady shit too, because you have Agnes, who she's a witch with a capital B. What was she up to? She lures Haley off out into the swamp, out into the bayou, all isolated to go see a special doctor,
Special.
only to
I
get
don't-
ambushed by who knows what. I don't know if they were witches. I don't know if they were humans. I don't know what they were.
They were either warlocks, or I don't think they were werewolves. But they were definitely warlocks. If they were any, because they weren't vampires.
I don't know.
Haley got it over too easily on all three of them for them to have been vampires.
Yeah, we got
So-
to see the action hero Haley for the very first time.
Oh, yeah, she went to
I don't
town.
even think we got to see her do anything like that in Vampire Diaries, so that was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, it was. I liked it. Oh, sorry, goodness, nose bugging me. One thing I noticed when they're out there in the woods, Rebecca takes 2 crossbow bolts to the chest, and then Haley takes one to the right shoulder. My thought, they both go down and everything. My thought during all of this is, what do people think of Sophie, who's just walking down the street and all of a sudden, "Oh, son of a bitch!" screams out loud, blood spurting out of a random hole like she just got shot with the world's biggest bullet?
Yeah,
I never thought of that.
that actually crossed my mind as well, but I started thinking maybe it's not linked the other way around.
Oh, it's possible. I mean, but she could... anything that happens to Haley happens to Sophie, they said, as well.
Vice versa, yeah.
And vice versa. So she could have just been sitting there eating dinner, and all of a sudden, excruciating, blinding pain, and... yeah.
Starts bleeding from no wound. Just happens.
Yeah, stuff happens all the time.
Yeah.
But that would have been
Well-
entertaining.
That's like Sunday night here.
Hey.
I could see Umi's the girl from American Horror Story stabs herself with a fork. Mike's walking around, hands bleeding. He doesn't know why.
So bad. So bad.
See, but Mike, the best way to solve that would be to get pregnant with Klaus's child.
So wait, I'm supposed to get...
Yeah. Because we found out this hybrid baby it's healing things.
I need more tea. Actually, I need something stronger than that.
Like wine.
I don't feel like going to get wine.
So,
But-
we kind of knew something was up with the baby. We didn't know what. We speculated maybe it was actually a boy, maybe it was twins.
Maybe it was sextuplets.
Didn't even consider the hybrid baby's powers would supersede Haley's. That was a kind of a very interesting twist.
I don't really think it would supersede, but augment, and it makes sense because of, the blood sharing, between mother and child in the womb and everything like that. Anything that the mother, gets into the mother's blood gets into the child, so vice versa, and all that stuff,
Well,
so...
Now that you bring that up, I look back at Charmed, and every time one of those witches got pregnant, they always shared their baby's powers, so it makes sense.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I barely watched any Charmed, and I remember that.
Yeah.
No, that fits. So yeah, I mean, they said it's the blood of the blood of the hybrid can cure pretty much anything and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a hybrid baby.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she healed, which would mean Sophie healed pretty quick. So random blood spurting wound wasn't as bad.
Yeah, I can see that.
Hurt like hell.
I can see
Oh,
that for sure.
yeah, you kidding me?
So, okay, so Davina eventually, Marcel agrees to let Davina go out under Cammy's protection. Klaus had already gotten the idea that was going to happen. Had Cammy try to lure her out to go talk. Davina meets, I forget what his name was now.
Timmy?
Tim.
Yeah. Meets Tim, who apparently she had a thing for when they were in school together. So Davina was, I believe she said they met when they were 10.
Mm-hmm.
And she's about 16 now, so that was about 6 years ago. And it kind of got under the impression that she left school right around that time. I don't know, it couldn't have been necessarily 6 years she was held captive, but she left pretty quickly while they were in school. So do you think that was Marcel's doing directly? Was he the one that pulled her out of school, or some other reason?
I think it was either Marcel or somebody related to this whole thing, because her powers probably started manifesting themselves in some way, shape, or form.
Manifesting or maturing.
Yeah, one or the other. And
at that point, they're not controllable.
right, so she probably had to leave school quickly, so she wouldn't risk killing anybody accidentally in her class. And at that point, could Marcel have been responsible for it? Sure. If what's going on is a Stockholm Syndrome sort of thing, then yeah, I could see that. A couple years, getting in there and all that stuff, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
it
know.
definitely makes a lot of sense. So we found, or should I say, Claire Holt, aka Rebecca, finds Davina's hideout.
Yeah.
And she goes to get her brother out and finds out that her brother is already awake. He's just not at full strength. And
Which,
he said it had something to do with the fact that Davina pulled the dagger out, and the dagger's power was negated after one pull. It doesn't seem to match up with stuff that we've seen from the Vampire Diaries. So why do you think that the dagger's power was negated?
Well, okay. Every other time that the dagger's been pulled out is when they pull it out, and then the dagger's not put back in right away. It's given time to regenerate its power. Like, but the way Davina did it, she took it out and she just stabbed it right back in.
And
So
she-
there wasn't, yeah.
she
But-
put it back into the same wound. Like, she pulled it out and then just put it right back where she found it. So that wound probably healed a little bit around it. So the dagger, who knows what the reason was.
Because the way I'm almost positive I remembered Elena pulling it out at one point, putting it back in, and never had any of these effects. When Elijah was laying in their basement or something at one point in Vampire Diaries. But the way we know that the dagger actually worked is it's dipped in white oak ash.
Right?
So I'm thinking that maybe the ash is more of this than the dagger itself. And when the dagger gets pulled out, there's no more ash on the on the dagger. So when it's put back in, it doesn't have its power anymore. But that kind of stuff has not even been explained or explored in this series yet. So
No.
Yeah.
the way they explained it, it almost seems like a completely different set of rules than it had on the Vampire Diaries.
I think the only mention was when Haley gave Rebecca the daggers and said they were silver or something. That's it.
Yeah. So, I'm not too sure. I'm not sure if they're following the same rules of, like, obviously they're not going to want to contradict themselves, but there might be a little something more to it that wasn't either explained in Vampire Diaries or something changed with the daggers for the originals. I'm not quite sure yet. But, so Davina eventually meets up with Tim, and they go back to the church that Davina is living at, which is St. Anne's Church. And we get a little banter from Cammy in the back. She's talking to Klaus, and she reveals that the massacre that happened in this church involved 9 other priests in training, and one of them snapped and killed all 9 of them and then took his own life. This was revealed to actually be Cammy's brother, twin brother.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of thinking, do you think this is the reason why she went into psychology in the first place?
Well, yeah, she wanted to know why her brother snapped, but at this point, it looks like a supernatural reason.
Right, because the way she described him, he wouldn't have snapped, just like that, killed 9 people and then, killed himself.
It seemed like Cammy and him also had a really great connection. You know how they say twins are, commonly linked mentally? Well, I think that this was the case with those two. So.
Right. Well, it's definitely, she outright says later in the episode it's the whole reason she came to New Orleans in the first place, but it's likely the reason she went into psychology.
Yeah. So the church kind of has this history about it, and even Tim mentions, why did you want to meet here in this church? She said because it's quiet, it's peaceful, and you can't let the action of one bad thing happen define it forever. But do you think this is a good place for her to hide? Because it seems like nobody wants to go near it.
Well, that would make it...
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. That would make it the perfect place to hide if nobody wants to go near it or in it. It's got a reputation for... It's an abandoned church. It's got a reputation because, a crazy massacre happened there many years ago. So, not a lot of people are going to go snooping around in there. And she lives in the attic. So, plus there's a priest downstairs who's on Marcel's payroll who would turn away any visitors. So they would never find her in the attic. So yeah, I think it's a perfect place to hide.
Yeah. It seems like a fairly good place.
I mean, hide in plain sight. It's better than a shack in the middle of the swamp.
Yeah, but it also seems like it would attract adventure seekers almost. Because you're giving it this history, and that makes it a place of interest. It's drawing attention to it, whether it's positive attention or negative attention. It's adding attention to it, not like a church or location that nobody's even heard of. This one, everybody heard of. It's in the spotlight now, so it could kind of go either way.
So the ghost facers would visit this place.
Yes. I'd be very surprised if we did not see the ghost facers at some point cross over into another CW series.
Oh, God.
Get a crossover into a spinoff. Yes.
No. Maybe. No.
The ghost facers, for those of you who do not know and have no idea what we're talking about, is a paranormal investigation team from the it was like season 3 of Supernatural, the other CW TV series. So I'd like to see that crossover. I'd like to see it. Well, they debuted, I think it was season 3, if I'm not mistaken. So do you think you've already stated that you believe it was supernatural influence? It almost seemed like a vampire's compulsion. Do you think that was Marcel that compelled him to wipe out the church for this exact reason, for to hide Davina, or to use as a base of operations.
That may be it, for sure. Never know. From the flashes, it does kind of seem like he was totally acting like he was not himself at all. Just like from the facial features that were on him and what he was doing, it looked really vicious and primal, like something a vampire would be like, yeah, go do this.
Yeah, it definitely seems supernatural. And as far as Marcel's involvement, too early to tell. It'll definitely put a... Well, Klaus compelled Cammy to not, really worry about it, but it really put a damper on Marcel's getting with Cammy if Cammy finds out that, the guy hitting on her mind-controlled her brother to kill 9 people and himself.
I think if that ever came out in the open, Klaus would reverse his compulsion on that point.
And then just, while they confront each other, be standing off of the back road with this massive shit-eating grin, like...
So Klaus did compel Cammy to completely forget about her quest for vengeance and all that stuff. Why do you think Klaus took it upon himself to seek out the vengeance for her?
Well, he needed her focused, and he probably realized how much it meant to her. And even though Klaus is an angry asshole all the time, the thing that means most to him and his siblings is family. So that probably struck home with him a little bit. Mm-hmm. And he probably realized, shit, I am going to, really not be able to sleep, or be able to, think straight thoughts or whatever with this on my mind if I take this away from her. So basically I'm going to take it away from her so she's focused, but I'll take it upon myself to, find it for her. And then I could just reverse the compulsion if I got it down the road. And it goes along with the Klaus likes her theory as well. Mm-hmm. He's doing her a pretty big favor there. Yeah. As far as she's concerned, he's the vampire who compelled her, but she forgets about one as soon as he leaves her sight, and then remembers the second he walks back into it. But, I mean, he's still pretty much a stranger to her, more or less.
More or less.
So, I mean, stranger.
They seem to get a lot closer as this episode went on. Like, you see Klaus at the beginning, and he's, basically forcing her to do his bidding, write the memoirs, that's what he wants. By the end of the episode, I had a completely different impression of him. Do you think he's still going to have her write his memoirs, or...?
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
He wants people to know about his past.
Yeah.
Why can't he be like Elijah and all the other vampires, like Stefan, and write his own shit? But, whatever.
Because
he's too good to write.
This is the originals. This is not the Vampire Diaries. He's not writing them himself.
Yeah, but look at Elijah. Haley, she went through books of Elijah's past.
This is clearly a Klaus-focused show, so... to Elijah.
Like I said a couple of minutes ago, Klaus is too good to write his own shit. He has peons write for him.
Yeah.
You mean he has a huge ego?
That too.
That. I don't think anybody will deny that he has a huge ego. I mean, they introduced him for one episode, and it's like, whew, he's full of himself.
Oh, yeah.
He could barely fit through the door. His head is so big.
That's one big head.
Gotta fit that ego, right?
Yeah, it definitely does.
So, Klaus is definitely a bit cocky, and he's using all the leverage in this thing. He's trying to manipulate Davina. He's going against something he's not quite sure the power that she has, but he's using the fact that she's a kid and her love interest to completely manipulate her further. And there's one moment where he's looks like he's gonna kill Tim. He just throws him off the balcony.
And so nonchalant about it, just all smiles and then just yoink. Whoops! I'd have
Oh.
laughed if he looked over and went, "Oh, whoops! How clumsy."
That would have been amazing.
But that's the air I got. Just like, yeah.
Yeah, so he seemed to be fully in control once again, and got Davina to say that she needed Klaus's help, to finally admit that, so she, she could not be on her own. She needed his help to bring him back, bring Timmy back, and Klaus just he continually seems to be one step ahead of everybody. He's always getting his way. When is he going to slip up? When are things going to blow up in his face?
If they are at all, it's going to be in a few episodes, I think. Because I mean, right now, like I mentioned an episode or two ago, this so far seems like the Klaus comes up with a plan, executes it masterfully, and gets his way. With slight detours thrown in by his sister, which work out for the better in the end.
Right.
I mean, that's what's really how it's been going. So, a whole season of that would be boring as hell. So, even though entertaining.
Who do you think will mess up his plan if it's not him?
It's gonna either be Haley, Rebecca, or now that Elijah's awake, Elijah, because Elijah has a little plan of his own to stop the war between the vampires and the witches.
I 100% think it's going to be Elijah. His intentions are going to be good. Elijah's going to do it Elijah's way and not Klaus's way, and that's going to cause some problems.
Yeah, that's definitely going to throw a monkey wrench into Klaus's master plan.
They have the same goals, and
They do.
they'll get there, but completely different paths, and Klaus is not going to like that.
Yeah.
So
I personally think Cammie's gonna cause some problems because Klaus is gonna like her so much, and something's gonna come up where her life's in danger or the plan, and he's gonna have to choose Cammie or the plan.
well, see, here's something I bet you guys didn't catch, because I definitely have a good eye for stuff like this. In the backdoor pilot, one of the scenes that were cut out, which was not their first meeting, but Klaus and Cammie's second meeting, when they're on the boardwalk. They're watching the guy paint the picture. That big painting, he's swirling, going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Klaus now owns that painting. It was in his house. And
I saw that. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
he was talking to Cammie while they were sitting there looking in the very beginning when he was talking about his memoirs. So it almost seems like there's definitely going to be something with Cammie and Klaus.
Mhm.
But
That's why I say like he's gonna have a point where he's gonna have to pick his plan or Cammie.
yeah.
It's going to be a major head ripper for him then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I see Haley as more means to an end, and he doesn't actually have any feelings for Haley. He keeps referring to her as a one-night stand and whatnot. He is being pleasant to her, but I think that's only because of the kid. And once the kid is out of her, he doesn't need her anymore.
Yeah, that's probably it, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, but
Yep.
Who knows?
Well-
Maybe watching her go through all of it will change his mind.
that's true. And Elijah's there, and he seems to really like Haley, and the fact that the child would need a mother. So it might be different than down the road. Yeah.
Yeah, Elijah comes to and tells Rebecca to make sure to take care of the baby and the mother, look after Haley. So Elijah's definitely got his own little thing going on. So what do you think his plan is going to be to woo over Davina?
He's gonna tell her how it is. He's gonna be completely honest and do it the nicest way possible.
Yeah, he's gonna tell her, shit sucks and bad things are gonna happen and all that, but he's gonna do so in such a lovely way that Davina's just gonna be like, uh-huh.
You're
Or
be shitting rainbows.
yeah.
See, that approach always works for Elijah. Do you think it's still going to work with Davina?
She's young and stupid.
It's either gonna work or fail miserably.
She's also rebellious.
And pretty much indoctrinated. Ish.
And I don't even think she has full control over her powers.
I don't think so either.
she gets pissed off, directs an attack at Klaus, and
Blows up a whole room.
blows up a whole room, and as far as she knows, her boy toy, or man crush,
Exactly.
who then gets man crushed.
So it's going to be very interesting to see Elijah and her have some kind of interaction.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely looking forward to that. Next week's episode, Sinners and Saints. Probably going to have a lot more to do with that church. That's my guess.
Possibly. Maybe not a lot, but definitely a mention.
Well, who's the sinner and who's the saint?
Klaus.
Klaus is the sinner and the saint? And the saint? So he's going to do both good and bad things next episode?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
As he stated at the beginning of the episode when he's kind of having that internal monologue, good people sometimes accidentally do bad things with the intentions of self-preservation.
Yeah.
Nothing more. So, Klaus is definitely both a sinner and a saint.
Mm-hmm. They all are. Mostly.
So, any final thoughts?
I want to see more action hero Haley in the coming episodes.
Yes.
Even though she's preggers, and, that's probably not good for her.
Preggers.
When is she going to start showing?
Soon? What is she, like? She's like 2.5 months now? 3 months?
Something. She's not showing at all.
She should be showing. A little bit.
Soon.
Maybe it'll just pop out full-grown adult.
Oh, look, I'm having a baby. I'm only 4 months pregnant. I'm full term, but hey. Fucking magic.
I'm full term and I'm giving birth to a fully grown 165-pound-ish average person.
Oh, God.
And if the people wanted to see that, where can they follow you?
On Twitter, Lady Venom 24, LADYVENOM 24. You can follow me there.
So if they follow her, they're going to see her give birth to a 165-pound normal average human?
I like you say that as you're pointing to me.
I meant to point that way. So I could point that way and be pointing at her. Yeah. Never mind.
No.
The people could follow me at Thilladren, THILLADREN, on Twitter.
And you can follow us on youtube.com/ASOTV podcast for some more podcasts for some of your favorite TV shows. And until next time, because I believe they're skipping some weeks here and there. I don't know. I know a bunch of shows are missing some weeks. I don't know if the Originals is one of them. But until next time, catch you guys later.
That'd be a big baby.
Huge baby.
That'd be massive.
Your nethers would be wrecked after that.